Hey guys, today is an exciting day. We're going to talk about how to prioritize losing fat, primarily even in your belly, even though we can't just target that, but that fat loss in a 4-week time period. So I'm really excited to share this information. I would encourage you to grab a pen and a paper and write the stuff down. I'll write it with you so that you can retain the information and see as I'm talking. So, if you were to break up the next 4 weeks, 1 week at a time, I'm going to show you how you can start to prioritize fat loss versus just losing weight on the scale, right? When we lose weight on the scale, we don't know if it's coming from fat, if it's coming from muscle, if it's coming from water. We want to prioritize fat loss. So week number 1, so let's break this down. Are you ready? Week number 1, you want to assess and monitor your weight. Now, most people, so this is week 1. So write it down, guys. Week 1, we're going to assess and monitor your weight. Now, how do you do this without getting triggered by the scale? So when I learned this method, it changed everything for me. So if you don't know, I had to get rid of the scale for a lot of years when I was so triggered by weight. The number on the scale, it would throw me off if I saw the scale increase. So when I learned this method, I thought, oh my goodness, this is so impactful, and I've actually had clients do this, and it really does help. So what you want to do is very, very strategic, okay? So every day for the first 7 days, you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to go to the bathroom, don't drink or eat anything, no food or drink, and you're going to weigh yourself, okay? Now listen, that is just one step of this, because you're going to do this every day that week. So you're going to take this day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way for 7 days. So you have 7 weigh-ins, okay, at the same time of the day with the same strategy. Like, you want to wake up in the morning, go to the bathroom, do not eat or drink anything, and get on the scale, weigh yourself. Don't even think about it, just write that down. So say one day you're going to wake up and it's like 159, okay? Day 2, you wake up and it's 153. I mean, honestly, it could jump, right? The next day you wake up and it's 162. You get it, right? So every day, and it might not jump this much, but it might jump even more. That doesn't matter. What you're going to do is you're going to have 7 weigh-in days, and then you're going to take the average, so you can add them all up. At the end of the 7 days, add the 7 days up and divide by 7. Now, what this is going to do, guys, is it's going to give you your average for the week. This is how you're going to weigh yourself for the 4 weeks that you're prioritizing fat loss. Okay, so every single day you follow this, and then at the end of the week, you add all the numbers up and you divide by 7. That is going to be your number for the week. That's going to be so much more telling from your progress as the time goes by, okay? A lot of factors that could get in the way. The reason why we're doing it this way and not just every day is because things like the last meal of your day the night before could affect your weigh-in. How hydrated you are or not can affect your weigh-in. Your even how you ate over the weekend can affect your weigh-in. Let's see what else. Your hydration, time of the last meal, how much you slept even the night before. There's so, like, how much water you're holding on to. There's so many things that can affect the weigh-in. So if you do this by average, the 7 days gives you such a better number to work on. Okay, so that's step number 1. So that's week number 1. And the goal of this plan, like, what is a good range? And a lot of people say, well, what should I shoot for? How much should I lose to know that I'm getting the best results? So you want to aim to lose, say, half to 1 pound a week at the most. Now, I know you probably hear people say, oh, but on this program I lost 5 pounds, or this program they say you can lose 2 pounds a week, or this. If you lose any faster than this, in my experience and in all the research that I've seen, it is too aggressive. And in that case, being too aggressive, it's not something that can be sustainable, right? Because life is going to come in the way. You're not going to be able to stick to something that high and that aggressive. And the biggest issue, in my humble opinion and professional opinion, is that you are going to risk losing muscle mass. So I would say no more than aiming to lose a half to 1 pound per week, per average, okay? So this is your week 1, all right? Are you ready for week 2? Now that you have that, your week 1 weight, you're gonna go on to week 2, and you're gonna continue your weigh-ins, because again, you want to see how you've changed from week 1 to week 2. But you're going to weigh yourself in the same manner. Yeah? Okay, so you got that going. Now we want to close the gap. Now we want to see, okay, how can I get some better results? Now I know where I'm starting from. I know what I'm doing. I know the factors, and I have a goal in mind. And it's just kind of mentally getting you ready. Now this week, what you want to do is you want to prioritize the calorie range. So we want to find out how many calories can your body eat without being too much in a deficit, right, or not being in a surplus. How many calories can your body eat and lose fat? And what we want to find, to be honest, is how high can we get, how close can we get to we're still in a deficit and we're still losing, but we're not having to starve or be hungry, because then it's easier to continue, right? So that, to me, that's the best way. That's what's worked for me. I don't know why this hair is irritating me. That's what's worked for me, and that's what's worked when I work with clients on the same system. So continue with your weigh-ins, and then I want you to take your current body weight, because we want to figure out what is the calorie range that your body needs to lose, okay? So you're going to take your current body weight, and you're going to multiply it by the number 13, okay? So for example, and this is going to be the calorie range that we want to start with, okay? So if you're 150 pounds times 13, I think it's about 1,950. So I would start with 1,950 calories. But what I also would have you do in week number 2, because you're busy doing the weigh-ins, and now you have a number, I want you to track what you're eating at least 3 days in a row. Don't worry about changing anything, because here's the beauty of this program, is that you can figure out what are the foods that you like the most, and how can we still get you in fat losing mode by prioritizing some little simple swaps of some of the foods that you're eating already without having to overhaul your whole diet, because that's never going to work. We already know that. We've tried it. We know it's a failure. So you're going to track your foods for, say, 3 days. And you could track it in MyFitnessPal. You could track it in, what am I using right now? Chronometer, Chronometer. I like it because they don't charge you to scan the foods, which I think MyFitnessPal does now. But any app, I mean, there's tons of apps. Find one that you like, and you're going to track your food and drinks for 3 days. And you can go as easy. I mean, I have women that just write down the calories that they eat every day, and you have to be really mindful about the writing, but that gets your brain in it too. You could do anything as long as you're tracking. Get 3 days in a row and notice, how far away am I from this? Because let me tell you something, chances are pretty darn high that you're getting more than this. And then we want to be able to close the gap between the two. So what you're currently eating now, right? So maybe you find out, hey, I'm eating 2,000 and let's say 2,150. So maybe you're eating 2,150 calories. So now you're in a 200 calorie surplus. So if you want to lose fat, again, we want to get as close as we can. So we don't want to drop the calories too much, because again, we're going to risk losing muscle. It's not sustainable, so it's not going to work. So we want to find that, wait, how can we close the gap and make it easy? And then you're never going to have to go back and forth again, right? There's no ping-ponging or yo-yo. You're going to be able to continue to lose fat and prioritize it with the system I'm sharing with you. All right, so what else? So take that, and then you want to be able to swap your food. So once you have 3 days, then you think, okay, if I'm getting 2,150 and I need to come down to 1,950, how can I do that by just swapping some of the foods? So maybe right now you're eating high-fat cuts of meat for your protein. All you have to do, keep the meals, but change it, swap it out with a lean meat, right? Maybe instead of ground beef that's higher fat, you go to the lower fat, or you choose ground turkey or ground chicken, right? So you can switch the food, whatever you're having is higher calorie and fat, to a lower option. What's a couple other options? Say if you're using cooking oil, use the spray oil. If you like rice, do half rice and then do half of it mixed with your cauliflower rice. You're not going to see that it's a huge difference. Again, you don't want to just swap it with all cauliflower rice because you will taste the difference. It's much more watery. It is a vegetable, so it's going to be a lot different of a consistency than rice. But if you mix the two and you season it up and you make it fun, then all of a sudden you're cutting down the calories, right? We're closing that gap. It's a very simple thing to do. Maybe like you like peanut butter, go and use PB2 if you're using it in your shakes or ways that doesn't change, because I know if you mix PB2 with water, the consistency isn't like peanut butter. But if you can do that and it doesn't bother you, then do that. Otherwise, use it in your shakes or use it in things that you can mix in for the flavor without all the fat. So get creative. Like maybe if you're using milk, like whole milk, can you swap out with like almond milk once in a while, right? It's going to drastically cut the calories because like in a cup of, I think, low-fat milk, it's like 120 calories. A cup of almond milk, it's 30. So you're saving 90 calories by just swapping out the food. So you see how you're not having to switch your diet, you're just swapping in the foods here and there, and you're going to be able to switch this and be able to close the gap. Okay, so that's where you're going to start, right? And you're going to keep tracking that as you go. Now, step number 3, let me turn this upside down. I'm running out of room. So step number 3 is now we want to track and we want to keep tracking. So week 3, again, you're going to take the weigh-ins again, keep those going. They're going, okay, we want to continue. We want to continue to track our foods, all right? Continue to swap the foods for lower options, right? Don't have to change, don't have to go on a diet, just swap your foods for lower options, okay? Now this is where the beauty comes in, and you guys probably heard me say this before, but your NEAT, you want to boost NEAT. And it doesn't mean, oh, that's groovy and cool. It means these are our non-exercise activities, like the movements that you do that has nothing to do with your exercise, okay? So it's not like I have to get motivated to exercise. NEAT is like the steps that you take every day. It's going outside and doing gardening. It's doing laundry, running around the house, cleaning the house, running around in the store, parking further away from the grocery store so you can walk to the grocery store, do your grocery shopping, walk back to your car, put the groceries away. Like that is all considered your NEAT, and it's burning calories, right? Without being in that traditional, like I'm exercising, okay? Even people that fidget, like if you fidget or you want to start fidgeting, go ahead and fidget. Like find ways that you can get that movement going. Now, when I tell people, I know it's hard to consider, oh my gosh, I have to get so many steps in a day. I always recommend getting 8 to 12,000 steps a day. But I know that might sound like a lot, and you're thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do that, or I don't carry a I don't wear a tracker, I don't track my steps. How do I get more steps in? I'm going to give you an easy solution to that, which is also going to help your digesting your foods. So after each meal, so say you have your meal 1, which is say your breakfast, meal 2, which is your lunch, and meal 3. After each of these meals, you take a 10-minute walk. Now, how easy is it to get 10 minutes? You just put your timer on and go walk one direction for 5 minutes, turn around and walk back. 10-minute walk after each meal will get you a whopping 30 minutes of steps. That is going to close the gap even more. Can you see how exciting this is? It's like you don't have to work hard. We just have to work smarter to find ways to boost our calorie burn, get a little bit less calories in, and create that long-term habit of fat loss and being able to stay there, because we're never going to have to go back to the beginning. Now, week number 4, now that we've done all these, okay, so week 4 is where we really nail it in. Now, you notice I didn't tell you to start training or doing any exercise yet. We just did the steps, we did the calorie, like watching where you're at and tracking and all that stuff, and doing your NEAT, boosting your NEAT. Now that you're at this stage, you're most likely losing weight. And again, you're going to do your weigh-ins, your daily weigh-ins. All right, so that continues. You're going to continue to track your foods, swap out the foods, okay? You're going to continue to boost your NEAT, your non-exercise movements. And last but not least, now is where the fun begins. Now we put the icing on the cake, and now we prioritize your training. Okay, now how do you do this if you're not already training? Well, let me just give you the most basic step that's going to work for everybody, depending on what you're doing, right? 30 minutes minimum, 3 times a week of resistance training, okay? You can follow a program, and you're gonna wanna challenge yourself based on your level. Whatever you have available to you. If you only have light weights and you don't have heavy weights, or you're scared to go to heavy weights, you're just gonna do more reps. You're gonna do as many reps as it takes to fail at that move. So maybe you're doing squats, right? You want to go as low as you can with good form. Maybe you hold a weight, and maybe you do little pulses at the bottom before you come up, but you do it enough times to challenge your muscles, not just I did 10 and I'm done. No, 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 no. You challenge your muscles so that you're shaking and you can barely complete the last 2 to 3 reps. That's when change happens. You don't have to go heavy if you're not ready for it, you don't want to, or it's just something you can't do because maybe you're unable to use heavy weights. Awesome. Maybe you're just starting. 30 minutes, 3 times a week, prioritizing your training with compound moves. And compound means you're using more muscles than one at a time. Like a squat, you're using a lot of the muscles in the body, right? A chest press or push-up, you're using multiple muscles. Say, for example, doing the compound moves versus just a bicep curl, you're really just working the bicep. So we call those glamour moves. Those are like the moves that are fun to add in. But if you're doing the actually pulling move, like a pull-up or a row or something, the biceps are involved. So you don't have to go and waste time. If you don't have time, you want to prioritize compound moves. Okay, so that's a whole nother topic we could go into. I think I do have another video on that, but 30 minutes a day at the minimum, 3 times a week. And if you really want to boost, you're going to finish each of these days up with, say, a 15 to 30 minute cardio workout. And that can mean a walk. It can mean, I don't know, you're going to take a bike ride. It can mean you're going to do your exercise, whatever exercise machine you have, treadmill, elliptical, climber, whatever you have. You jump on the trampoline, or you could put on a video on YouTube. Has tons of like walking videos or cardio videos, but you want to do something that is just, you're able to continue because you just did a workout, right? And you're going to increase the calorie burn with some cardio, and it's good for your heart too. And not only that, but you're already boosting your needs. So you're already getting in a lot more movement. Guys, you do this system for 1 month, and I want to know, like, you are going to have some amazing results, and I would love to hear it. You could definitely share below any questions or any celebrations, because this is a proven system and it's very simple. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them below. I will answer them all. But in the most simplistic way, you can prioritize fat loss when you look at the actual steps that move you in the right direction and don't continue to make you ping pong back and forth and lose precious muscle tissue. So I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to hearing your questions and your celebrations below. And in the meantime, have a great rest of your day. See you next time.